Hey everyone, welcome to Front Page Bets. It's the day after the national championship game. Kansas is the 2022 national champion, beating North Carolina in New Orleans Monday night. Mike Savedix, Jerry Ahern. We're going to break down the game. We're going to look ahead to next basketball season. We're also going to talk some Masters. So get ready for that. Tiger Woods. And obviously the other big thing that's happening this week is, opening day is on Thursday for Major League Baseball. So we're going to get into all that. But Jerry, let's start with last night's game. Kansas down 15 at the half, pulls off the biggest comeback in national championship game history. They were down 16 at one point in the first half, came back, won the game by 3. They were 4-point favorites. Oh, by the way, we hit that bet. Both of us had Kansas winning, but not covering the spread. They win by 3, 72-69. So Jerry, I hope you still have your tickets. Now make sure you get everything you need there. But it's that cliche tale of two halves, right? It was North Carolina dominating the first half, Kansas coming out in the second half and really just playing their game. And so what was the difference in that game last night from where it was, I think it was at one point an 18-2 run for North Carolina in the first half. And then, the roles reversed there in the second. Initial impressions, Kansas is the national champion. Jerry, just what were you thinking watching the game and talk about their performance and the way that all went down?
Yeah, I mean, even before it became a tale of two halves, it became a tale of a couple of minutes to start, right? Kansas jumped out to a 7-0 lead, and you were thinking, here we go. This is going to be a blowout. The 8 seed's finally out of gas. Well, Carolina punches back, takes the lead, takes the huge lead going into the half, and Kansas just relied on its talent. I mean, they had a lot of different guys contribute. Abaji started out hot and then kind of faded. And Christian Braun was hitting huge shots. McCormick was actually absolutely just putting the team on his back, both ends of the court. And ultimately, that was the difference, is they just kept punching with, more options to go to. Obviously, Baycott was playing hurt the whole time. We didn't know how serious it was, maybe even until after. He couldn't even jump before the game. But what a gutty performance on his part. And Manic, fell down on the attempt.
Elbowed in the mouth, like
shot. Which, I saw something on social media this morning about the floor itself actually buckling, and that being the same spot where Baycott, sort of pulled up lame. So could be some damage done there in terms of people looking into if that's actually true. But bottom line was, I think KU, a team that I didn't give a lot of respect going into the tournament. I thought they were the weakest 1 seed. They put it all together. You have to give Bill Self some credit from a coaching standpoint. They didn't panic. They didn't, stray from the course. And, meanwhile, Hubert Davis in his first year, in his first championship game, his first Final Four, I think he let that lead slip away from him. He didn't really try to control the tempo as much as they could have when they had that big cushion. But you live and learn.
Yeah, a couple of things there. You mentioned the floor. Caleb Love also twisted an ankle down at that end of the floor, just, running it. And Baycott, what a gutty performance. David Teal, the Hall of Fame columnist for the Richmond Times-Dispatch, in his column last night, there was no way that Baycott was going to not play in this game after hurting his ankle on Saturday night. Also, no way, it didn't matter if he was 50% or 25%, and Armando Baycott at 25% is better than most people at 100%. Still had a double-double. I mean, tying David Robinson's NCAA record for double-doubles in a season. Unbelievable performance, a gutty performance by Baycott. But you think about Kansas and the different options that they have, especially coming off the bench. And they don't just have 5 guys. They've got 6 and 7 guys. North Carolina has been playing the same 5 guys 95% of the time. Puff Johnson's the only one to really come in off the bench.
Right.
And so when you're playing the same 5 guys, and then you get Leaky Black in foul trouble, yep. You've got Caleb Love can't find a shot. You gotta hurt Armando Baycott. Now you're starting to think, how did North Carolina get that far with just 5 guys? Now their 5 guys are superiors from other, most other teams starting 5. but it finally caught up to him. You look at that, you get some injuries, you get some people who can't find their shots, you get some momentum swings. And, what a masterful job that Hubert Davis did. But again, you're North Carolina. You're telling me you only have 5 players? You can't go to the bench and get somebody, or did you not want to go to the bench and you just want to win with the 5 that are on the floor? And then you talk about Manick getting an elbow in the face off a rebound from McCormick. He didn't look right after that. Yeah. So you got some injuries. Anyway, so what a great job by Bill Self, not panicking in halftime, them coming out, playing their game. You mentioned Abaji. Couldn't make a free throw either. Could you imagine if he made his free throws?
If Kansas made free throws, it wouldn't have been close and it wouldn't have been near as dramatic at the end. But, Leaky Black getting in foul trouble was huge. I didn't mention that earlier, but you're absolutely right there. I mean, because of that short rotation, you take him out of the mix and suddenly, they were at, a mismatch disadvantage on defense. That was big too.
Yeah, you can go back and look, and it's just kind of the same thing with the Duke North Carolina semifinal game on Saturday night. If Mark Williams hits those free throws, it's a different game. You point. We like to point 1 or 2 plays that made a difference in the game, but it's a game that's 40 minutes, so much momentum swings. You can't really pin it on one play or one series of plays.
You sound like a coach right now.
I'm just, I'm going to coach speak, and we're just, you go back to that. But again, on this stage, 1 or 2 plays makes the difference, and especially in basketball, game of momentum. We saw it.
Or Mike, 1 or 2 players. And I think that was the difference in just having that depth. I mean, Christian Braun, some of the takes that he made, holy cats, he just went to the glass and just willed the ball in. Same with David McCormick. He just got down low on the block and said, get out of my way. I'm going to make these shots. I mean, there's a great scene setter from an AP story about how at halftime he came in the locker room and he was laughing. And they're like, what are you laughing? What are you smiling about? He's like, there's nothing to be worried about. We're going to be fine. And that's the stuff of champions right there.
No doubt. You mentioned Braun. Where's that been? I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Kansas basketball. I watched him in the tournament. He took over that game for that, 3 or 4 minute stretch right there in the second half. I mean, he was the difference that I don't think North Carolina had an answer for, especially with Leaky Black and foul trouble. So Kansas, this is our first national championship since 28, I believe, since 2008. Bill Self, climbs the ladder and cuts down the nets and really, like you said, I thought Baylor was probably the weakest 1 seed. I had them going out early. So I actually had that. That was one of the picks that I actually got right this year. But Kansas had probably, again, if you look at top to bottom talent, there's 5 or 6 players there that really, you talk about Remy Martin hit a couple big threes. You've got, you've got, we mentioned Braun, McCormick, Lightfoot played well, got into foul trouble, but he's a guy that could come in and kind of play, a little bit of different positions there on 5 and 4. So anyway, just a very good game. A game that looked like it was going to be a blowout at halftime. I was watching it with my 14-year-old daughter, and I was like, just go to bed. This is over. And, it wasn't. And that's, again, one more final coach speak, Jerry. That's why they play the game.
That's why they play the game.
Let's transition. Let's look at it real quick. You have a story we posted this morning on FrontPageBets about the 2023, futures national, who's the favorite going into 2023. Looks like Duke, even though Krzyzewski's not there anymore, looks like Duke is at least, it's by some of the books, less than 24 hours after the 2022 season ends, the favorite for next year.
Yeah, not just Krzyzewski gone, but 4 players probably going in the first round of the NBA draft. So you would think, well, what's Duke going to do? Well, what Duke's going to do is completely reload. 3 of the top 5, rated players in the nation coming in, including 2 big guys. So they're expected to be on top at plus 750. Then your North Carolina Tar Heels are right there, right behind him at plus 1,000 as the second team. And then you've got Kentucky, Kansas, and Gonzaga in the top 5 there. The rich just get richer, it seems, and all those teams, a lot of that story was really steeped in what's coming in from a recruiting standpoint, because these guys don't stick around very long. And it's hard to maintain, the kind of dynasties that when you and I were growing up, we saw in college basketball. You have to be able to turn on a dime now. And credit to John Shire for being able to pull that off, sort of in that interim phase, being the coach in waiting at Duke. They got a heck of a team coming in next year, and that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, so Duke, the favorite coming in, but then again, like you said, it's just the list of blue. Throw a dart. Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go into the off season for college basketball. But this week, Jerry, I think for me, the first full week of April has always been you mark your calendar every year. When's the Masters? Not only is it the first major of the year for my money. And I know you feel the same way. It's the best major. It's we could do a whole separate show on the Masters. But going into this week, and it's it doesn't matter who's really playing in the Masters for me. I like the course. You're watching the course, and it's, you against Augusta National and Old Man Par. But this year, there's some buzz and excitement with one Eldrick Tiger Woods. What would it mean for the game of golf? And now, again, it's Tuesday morning. So if you're watching this later, we don't know what's going to happen, but Tiger's supposed to speak later today. But if Tiger plays, Jerry, what would this mean for golf and Augusta and this championship this week?
Well, it's just seismic. I mean, who in the world would have thought there was even a chance that he would play in this Masters? I certainly didn't. I mean, you and I were talking about doing a story before it even, really broke that he was going off for the practice round. And I'm like, there's no way. He told Jim Nance, if he can't play competitively, he doesn't want to play. But my gosh, you hear the reports with Freddie Couples saying yesterday that he looks awesome on the course, he being Tiger. The guy's one of the greatest athletes, not just one of the greatest golfers, but one of the greatest athletes in history. And if anyone could sort of craft this kind of a comeback story, it would be Eldrick. I can't imagine what the ratings will be like. Because he transcends golf. People who don't care about the game of golf or majors or sports, they know who Tiger Woods is because he's just such an icon. And given the twists and turns of his career and his personal life of late, it's the ultimate soap opera.
It would be, like you said, seismic. I think it would just be the most watched Masters maybe in history. I really do. I believe that. And depending on the weather and where you're at, but for Tiger Woods, that Thursday to tee off after less than or a little bit more than a year after a horrific car injury or car accident that suffered a right leg injury, that he even said amputation was in the conversation at one point with his leg.
Right.
But you and I, we were texting back and forth talking about it. Maybe his swing is there. Maybe his game is there. I mean, again, a Tiger Woods with a bad swing is better than most golfers with, even on the tour. But physically, with that leg, and if you've never been to Augusta National, it's beautiful on TV. It is heaven on earth in person, but it ain't flat. There's the hills and the walk on that, just as a patron. Now, if you're playing with a surgically repaired right leg, just a little bit more than a year after you could have lost it. How is that physically, Jerry? You've been to Augusta a lot. You've seen it. You've walked the course. I've been there, walked the course. It's no picnic.
No, I mean, that's the thing that I can't really get my head around is how in the world is he going to be able to walk the course? Just given the nature and the extent of that injury, he may be swinging the club great. I mean, it's one thing to go out in the range and, swat the ball around and maybe play your muni in your golf cart and buzz around, but totally different situation there. So to me, I think that's the real X factor. And that will probably, be a huge factor in his decision. But boy, I can't discount Tiger Woods because, like I said, regardless of how you feel about the guy, he is one of the greatest of all time. I mean, you want to talk about a GOAT, he is the GOAT as far as golf. Maybe Jack Nicklaus is the only other person you can even put in the conversation.
Yeah. And Tiger probably, for my money, probably has the best mental game. This guy is you've never seen him. I mean, you've seen him hit bad shots. I'm not saying that he's infallible. I'm just saying when Tiger Woods is locked in and mind over matter, I've never seen anybody like just flip the switch. Remember that old Kevin Costner movie, was it For the Love of the Game, when he's like, clear the mechanism? Remember that? Like, that's Tiger, right? He just doesn't, it's like a different state of mind that he's in. And if he can channel that, regardless of the pain, regardless, you know, it's Tiger Woods. And what a great story.
He already won that US Open on a broken leg, several years back. I mean, the guy's tough. I mean, mentally tough, physically tough. And that, again, now I'll do my coach speak. That's what makes a champion. I mean, it's true. Like when you're able to fight through pain, to fight through adversity, whether it be physical adversity, mental adversity, problems off the course, whatever you want to, sort of quantify it as, that guy could do it. And tune in if it happens, because like you said, I think it'll be the most watched Masters ever.
Real quick, other than Tiger Woods, some of the favorites this week, you've got Jon Rahm, number 2 player in the world, who's the favorite by most books to win. Scotty Scheffler playing really out of his mind this year. You've got Dustin Johnson, who a couple of years ago in the the COVID postponed Masters, kind of ran away with it, set a scoring record at Augusta National. What's the obviously Tiger's that Phil Mickelson's not playing this year because of some of the controversy and some of the comments that he made. He's not in it, and he's always you can never count that guy out at Augusta. But you look at some of the others that are rising. Does Scotty Scheffler have the game? Can Rahm put it all together? What a story that would be. A Spaniard winning at Augusta. Seve Ballesteros comes to mind. Sergio Garcia. Could Rahm make it and put it all together? So who are we looking at here to kind of just to really put on the green jacket on Sunday at Butler Cap?
Yeah, I think you got to look at, some of the intangibles. I mean, Rahm being the favorite, I think makes a lot of sense given his past performance at Augusta. Does he have that mental temperament that it takes to get over the hump there? He's certainly been in the hunt, but hasn't got over the top. And I think part of it is he's definitely a guy who sometimes comes a little bit unhinged. DJ is a guy who I think you can't discount at Augusta. He, set the 72 hole scoring record back in 2020. He's always in the top 10 when he plays there generally, although he missed the cut last time around. But I think he's a guy, not to be toyed with. We didn't mention Rory McIlroy, who is still, sort of seeking that career Grand Slam, and, has as good a shot in my mind as anybody if he's got the old flat stick working for him. And then, we haven't talked about Patrick Cantlay, probably, came out of last year, arguably playing the best golf in the world. Hasn't had the greatest track record at Augusta, but sometimes, these guys break through depending on, what the weather situation is going to be like. Sounds like it's going to get a little stormy, at least for part of it. And, you got to get through Amen Corner. There's a lot of pressure for these guys and a lot of things to look at, but I think Scheffler is fascinating just because he's been so dominant. But man, I like DJ. I pick DJ a lot in my weekly picks too, just because I think the guy's a great player, but he does have the track record at Augusta that I think backs it up this time around.
Yeah, and I think what separates DJ now from a couple of years ago, he finally got that major under his belt. He finally closed the deal, and I wonder, if you can put it all together at Augusta, there's just something that transcends that game for you. You know what I mean? You wear your green jacket. Now Masters champion. There's just something about that because it is the only major that's played at the same course every year. And even though they Tiger proofed it one year, they've extended it, they've removed things, they've put things in. It's still the course of the mystique. And if you don't have it between the ears, that'll get you. You talk about Amen Corner 12. Little par 3, no big deal over water. How many times have we seen the Masters turn on that hole, even going into 16, 17. And then, how many, it's anyway, real quick. I want to ask you this, and then we're going long here, but we're talking about the Masters. Like I said, we could make our own little show out of this. Favorite hole at Augusta? What's your favorite? I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't talk about this, but what's your favorite hole at Augusta?
You just said it, 12. I mean, think of all the times you've watched the Masters over the years and seen somebody chunk it into the drink,
Yep.
To lose a lead or to, lose momentum and maybe rally back coming to finish things off.
That, right? Because you got
like that. To me, that's the ultimate pressure hole in golf, just because it does get into people's heads. Even the greatest in the game struggle with that one, which, you look at the card and it's not intimidating, but you stand up on the tee box and it's a little different situation.
Well, and then also, what's great about that hole is that, if you're short, you're bunker or you're wet, right? And depending on where the pin is, you don't want to be in that front bunker. You're long, even just 3 or 4 yards long, you're in the azaleas. And with pin placement, so because that green is so long, horizontally,
right,
you got to be accurate. You only have probably a 20-yard landing zone, if that, in the middle of the green. So you got to be, I love 15. I love 13. The par fives at the Masters are great because that's where you score, right?
Right.
You score at the par fives. I think for my money though, 12 is, 16. And the reason I like 16 so much is one, Vern Lundquist calling 16, something's right about that. But also the Sunday pin placement where, hey man, you get the right shot on a Sunday and you play that slope well, it's, you can win. Tiger won the Masters there. What was it? Second to last green jacket he had where he chipped in on 16. It's such a great hole. And what I also like about 16 is too, when you're there, you can watch him play on 6.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know this if you've never been to the course. There's that little turn there, that little, kind of in the middle there where you can see both par threes and really just have a great time watching golf. I spent a lot of time there. That and at the beer cart, where else can you spend $20? Where else can you spend $20 and get 3 palmetto and cheese sandwiches and 4 or 5 beers? It's great. It's great. All right. Well, we also have a lot of content coming this week on baseball. It starts on Thursday, Major League Baseball opening day. We break down the American League, breaking down the National League. So stick with us on Front Page Bets for all of that. Jerry, we could talk about basketball and golf all day long, and we will. I'm sure we'll continue our conversation off the air. But we appreciate you watching Front Page Bets. Keep it here all week again for the Masters. Will Tiger play? Won't he play again? We're Tuesday morning. We don't know yet, but we'll have all that information. And if he does play, what are the odds? What does that look like? How does that break down? Going into baseball season, we'll break down the American and National League and looking ahead to next year's college basketball season. Jerry, thanks for joining us once again. We'll see you guys on the other side.